Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, or what time of night it would be. You are watching another episode of the wondrous stuff from the MyLiveTube. And today we have a wonderful guest with us. We have Christina Perri.
Hello.
And you may know her from So You Think You Can Dance. You may have heard her music anywhere at this point. It's all over the place.
Thank you.
For people who may not know who you are watching for the first time, because we do have people from all different walks of life watching, let's go back to the history of how you went from, just doing your music to all of a sudden being all over the place.
Well, it's a really crazy story. Basically, I don't know where to start. I've been writing songs since I was 15, since I fell in love. The first song I wrote was called The Perfect Man. The second song after he cheated on me was called Tragedy. That's just kind of how I roll, and it's just been like that for 10 years. So I've been writing songs, and then I kept getting distracted, and I kept getting lost in other people's paths. I mean, whether it be a dude I dated and started to do what he does, or going to Italy to make olive oil, and then coming back to America and being like, no, wait, I should do music. No, wait, I should be in LA. No, wait, I should be in New Jersey. Like, I was all over the place.
And you even toured with a band.
My big brother was in a band, and I traveled all over the world with him, and was just the little assistant and fly on the wall. And I've done a bunch of things that were for everybody else and their paths, And so it was this magical moment in September of '09 where I was married and I became unmarried, and I left everything. Like, I had a house and dogs and a job and stuff, and I just kind of broke. And I like to think I broke open that time, because I didn't realize that as soon as I let go of everything and every kind of person I'd latched onto and everybody else's dreams that I was following, I all of a sudden was scared to death, but my path and my dreams were right in front of me. So I locked myself in a little shoebox apartment for a couple months and wrote a bunch of songs, decided that I should just go for it, and like one more time, because I never really tried. I realized I'd never done the stuff I was most afraid to do, and that's what I did. So that was like September. Then December, I wrote the song Jar of Hearts.
Right.
The guy I dated in Philly for a long time, we'd go back and forth forever. He came looking again, and I actually meant it, that I was over him. And it's like that rad thing that happens when, like, you don't know when it's going to happen and you're just over somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so he called me, I said no, and I meant it, and I wrote Jar of Hearts. Fast forward a couple more months, a best friend of mine grew up with the choreographer on the show So You Think You Can Dance. They grew up in Canada together. She emailed my best friend and said, hey, do you have any cool new music for my season? And my best friend shouldn't have given her my crappy demo, but she did, which obviously now it's totally cool. And I kind of owe her my firstborn child. So then what happened next was everything that's not supposed to happen in Hollywood, which is everyone said yes. It was approved and approved and approved, and through the whole line, and then I found out on a Friday, and that Wednesday it aired on the show, and at 8 p.m. on June 30th, 2010, my entire life changed.
It's amazing. And then you actually performed on the show as well.
I did. Apparently it was 7 days later. I don't remember. I was like on some other planet that whole week. Basically, I was a waitress the day before for years, and then after that I was never a waitress again. I went to New York City, met every record label, flew back to LA, played on the show, flew back to New York, signed a record deal, and then have not stopped since.
That's great. And I read that you thought it was a dream. You didn't even want to...
Oh, dude, I didn't sleep. I mean, there were a couple reasons why I didn't sleep the first, 5 days. One being the fact that, for sure, none of this could possibly have been happening, so I knew it was a dream, and I knew that I would wake up. The other thing was that I kept getting emails and letters and comments and everything on the internet from random people throughout the whole world. I mean, 220,000 people downloaded the song before I signed a record deal, and those people apparently connected with this song and wanted to tell me about it, and I was like unbelievably blown away, and would sit up all night because I answered every email. I'm like, these people are talking to me. I'm just this girl. I now exist. Like, I'm not going to not answer them back. So I continue to do that. I have a website, or I have an email address where everybody continues to write me, and I sit every night and answer them back. And it's just this ongoing relationship I have with people now. But it was a boom. It was a boom, like an old-fashioned boom. And I was right in the middle of it.
And then since you had some groundbreaking things with, like, iTunes and Amazon, and on VH1 you hit the top on that too.
I did. Yeah, well then, it was funny because once everything happened in July, we didn't know what was going to happen. You know, we just kept going, and normally if there is some sort of, you know, climb, there's normally, it falls really fast today. And so what happened was really crazy because I made a music video for Jar of Hearts, and it blew up again, and it went on VH1 and MTV. It hit #1 on the top 20 countdown. And then there was this point where, because Jar of Hearts is such a unique song in that it's very slow and there are no drums, and every human being knocked on my door and said, we want to put drums on this, or said, no, we're not going to play this song on the radio because there are no drums. And it was this amazing back and forth, and me just saying, like, hey man, this is just the way it is. Like, this works. If you don't like it, no worries, don't play it.
It's the same thing as, when Tori Amos first came out.
Okay.
She had a same kind of fight.
It's the best fight to fight when it works out. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't want to mess with it. It had this mystique about it, and the way it happened, I was like, there's no way. I'm not even going to touch it ever. I'm like, it was such a bare minimum recording we did for just this television show, but now I could picture it no other way.
Right.
And so when they kept wanting to change it, I felt there was a point where their label and me and the TV stations and everybody were kind of pushing, and then all of a sudden we let go, and it just took off, and it's been, I've sold 2 million. I hit double platinum.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, when you think about it, like, you think about the time frame that it took to do this.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because it came out in June 30th, and then it took like 8 months to become gold, and then it took 1 month to become platinum, and then 2 months to become double platinum. Like, what? It's kind of like telling me how far away the moon is. I'm like, cool.
And the thing is, you weren't even on Oprah. That's what's even crazy.
Yeah,
This is not even an Oprah situation.
No. Oh my God.
You know. So you grew up in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I actually grew up in Philadelphia as well.
Dude, you know what? When you were talking about the camera, I was like, man, you just sound really familiar. I wonder where you're from.
Yeah, my grandmother. You grew up in Bensalem, was it?
Yeah, in the Northeast. I went to school in the Northeast.
My grandmother lives right near there, Baker's Bay. You know where that is?
Baker's Bay, no.
It's off. It's like Academy Road.
Oh yeah. Well, I went to Nazareth Academy.
Yeah.
And then I graduated. I switched over to Archbishop Bryan. Graduated.
So now, one thing is, now you've lived out here for a while now, right?
4 years.
And so don't you miss? I mean, there's things like Wawa. You know, you gotta miss Wawa.
Dude, I want to get a Wawa tattoo.
Now Wawa is it's kind of like 7-Eleven meets a deli, right?
It's the greatest invention on the planet, because at 2 a.m. when you want to meet boss
or 4 a.m.
or 4 a.m. it's the greatest stop in the whole world.
There's a shorty, there's the classic.
Oh my God, I knew it. I knew when I met you that there was something about you that I liked.
Oh, thank you. And so, you know, then there's like Turkey Hill, the honey green tea.
Dude, Tasty Cakes?
Tasty Cakes.
Come on.
Now, a couple years ago you could find those in LA, but I don't know.
Really?
If you can find them
No,
anymore.
I haven't seen
And there's Dunkin' Donuts, they're making their way out here.
Dunkin' Donuts is coming, but yes, I miss Dunkin' Donuts. I miss
pizza.
So much stuff. I miss Lorenzo's Pizza on South Street.
Lorenzo's Pizza. I mean, every time.
Okay, what's your favorite cheesesteak place?
You know, well, actually, there's a place off City Avenue that's quite amazing. It was called, what was it called? Larry's.
Larry's.
The home of the belly filler.
Ooh.
This thing was the size of almost 3 steaks, and I do the chicken cheesesteak. That's how I rock it.
Okay.
And you do the pizza sauce, and you rock the peppers. I don't do the onions or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and I would eat an entire one in one sitting, because you know, you'd come back. I've been out here for like 11 years. So you go back home and you just gorge, and then you're like, oh!
Yeah, it's the best feeling ever. And
it's amazing.
My favorite is Steve's off Cotman and Calmly.
Okay.
You know, down by Nabisco?
Yep.
And because everyone loves like Gino's and Pat's, but everyone from there.
If you're from Philadelphia, you know.
Yeah. And I get the cheesesteak, but I get Whiz and American.
Okay. There you go.
I get both.
And there's different seafood. And
Chicken Pete's?
Oh yeah, chicken peas. That's great.
Sorry, we could do this all
And
day.
then just one last thing though is here. I'm just gonna say two words, which are actually one word in Philadelphia, and that's water ice.
Oh.
And water ice is just an amazing thing. You have to Google water ice.
Dude, Rita's. Google Rita's.
Rita's as well.
Yeah.
So now your whole family's from there, and I read that when you reached a certain number, your mother was gonna get a tattoo.
Okay, well.
Let's hear about that.
Okay, 10 years ago, I mean, my brother's been in the business also for a while, and so I remember we were at dinner, and my mom just mentioning, like, hey, just kidding, kind of, because I have a lot of tattoos. My brother has 1 million, my dad has 3, my mom has 0. So I remember when she was joking and she said, if you ever go platinum and sell 1 million records, like just all kind of dreamy, she was like, I'll get a music note on my foot for every 1 million that you sell. And so actually, I haven't even told my mom. I just went double platinum like yesterday. So now she hasn't gotten it yet because I'm not home. I'm playing the Tower Theater on April 23rd.
That, yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it. There are buses of Perri's coming. Buses. Like, it's going to be so intense. But I'm very excited to go home. But so she's going to get this tattoo. And so I hate to tell her, but she has to get 2 now.
That's great.
2 music notes. And I mean, she's going to end up getting like a sleeve, hopefully.
It's really fantastic when you go home and play your hometown, because I've toured a lot, and it was funny because my father calls me and goes, you're in the paper today.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, because my dad never got the idea that I do music. He just it didn't register.
Yeah.
So he's like,
it's hard for Philadelphians.
It is.
I was telling everyone in my team that there's 2 levels. The Philly is black and white. They either hate you or they love you. Yeah. And it's really like there's no middle.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they hate you, they hate you, they hate you. Oh, my God, they love you.
Yeah, so, then it became like expatriate of Philadelphia, blah, blah, blah. And, so it's funny because I contact my dad's like, oh, we're in line at the Trocadero here, and so I called, I got him in, sat him down, I made sure they had earplugs for the show.
Nice.
It's just funny.
Well, I'm excited. I'm about to have that experience.
It's a great thing.
It's going to be amazing.
And to see old friends is great, too. That's one of the great things about touring. I think every human being
I've ever met in my entire life is coming. Like,
that's great.
Kids I went to kindergarten with are coming.
And it's one other thing is that because I've had success doing cartoons on the internet and such as well, besides the music, and there's people that you speak with over the years, and you have a relationship with them online.
Yeah.
Hey, blah blah, instant messenger, or it's emails back and forth, or it's on message boards from your website or whatever. But then when you finally go to the town and you actually meet these people, it's a weird thing, because some of these people you may have been speaking with for years.
Yeah.
And then you have this camaraderie already when you meet them. It's not even like you're meeting a stranger. It's like, oh, it's just someone you saw yesterday, because you know them so well. And that's one of the greatest things about being on tour, is that feeling of you're going home when you haven't even been home to different places too.
Oh, that's so cool.
And you're going to be playing the Wiltern here as well, which is a great venue.
I'm excited. I hear it's an amazing. I've never been to the Wiltern.
Oh, really?
So I hear it's pretty epic.
It's a great.
I'm just excited. I mean, I have a 50-minute set. I mean, it's
literally.
That's
a big set.
Yeah, it's
and
just me and James.
Blunt.
It's me, yeah, and it's gonna be the perfect venues and the perfect towns for my first tour. I think, like, I fortunately get to go to these places where people know who I am. I was just discussing earlier how funny, like, when you're in a band and you're in a van and you go and you play and you have no idea if people are going to know you, and you're so scared that they're going to boo you. And I mean, that's how I grew up, watching all my brothers and boyfriends' bands, just like, make it or not make it. And so I feel like I kind of don't want to tell all my friends that, like, my first tour I'm on a bus and playing 50 minutes at, like, these amazing theaters. Like, I know my brother's going to just, like, want to smack me in the head. But I'm really grateful, and I think that it's been so fun, like, next level for me. Like, everything's been amazing in my career, and it's just been like, I can't believe what's next and what's next and what's next. And what feels perfectly next is, like, putting together a show. I have an album that, like, I'm unbelievably proud of. I mean, I wrote all the songs on the album, and they're just my guts on a CD, and, like, I get to now go to these towns and play for 50 minutes. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a little breakdown.
Now with the live show, you have a band now.
I do. It's the same band on the album, so we're just literally, we all know the songs really well. I mean, it's going to miss a couple instruments here and there just because I don't have a, violinist or I don't have a fifth member yet. I might bring on a fifth member to do a couple of the little fancy stuff maybe in the summer tour. Mm-hmm. But right now, it's just what we need. The songs are really simple already. I didn't go crazy. I'm such a hater of, like, crazy sounds everywhere that, like, I can't reproduce live. So the album, I mean, I was so careful, and, like, because when I was a kid and I would buy an album, like, I'd be like, what sound is that? And it would say in the booklet. So literally the whole booklet is lyrics, credits, and thank yous, because every instrument's played by a real human being. And I'm unbelievably proud of that. So it's not really hard to reproduce all these songs, and I absolutely love my band, and it's going to be so fun.
So your album comes out, is it May 10th, right?
Yeah.
And the 12 songs, is that right?
It's 12 songs, but then I also have 3 bonus tracks. So,
bonus tracks.
Yeah, the B-sides aren't really B-sides anymore with the internet, they're just going to hang out on iTunes.
Now, just out of curiosity, now, have you thought about doing collaborations with people in the future, or has that even come up yet?
Yeah, you know what? I have a song on the album that's kind of duet-y. I wrote it with my friend David Hodges, and he sings with me on the album, and that probably would have been a cool collaboration moment, but you know, that stuff has got to be natural. There was a lot of names thrown into the pot, and it's like, I just like when stuff happens naturally. So I've been meeting a bunch of rad people along the way, and if something comes up, awesome. If not, it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I just keep going with it.
I mean, the one thing is with albums today, in the fact that and the way, you know, so many things are just downloaded for free. Have you seen any of that happening with your stuff? It seems like you have a very loyal fan base.
I can't believe 2 million people bought Jar of Hearts. Like, nobody needs to buy music anymore. Like, I personally buy music. I mean, just because it's what I do too, and I think it'd be karmically wrong if I stole it. But you know, to think that many people are going out and buying, and then my second single came out, and a bunch of people bought that, and I just feel like it's rad. You know, people are gonna get it no matter what. You know, so I feel like you can't depend on it. You can't, you know, count on it to help you go along. You know, there's a million other things you have to do now, which is fine. I mean, that's just, it's one of those things, like, if you don't evolve with the technology, then you're kind of screwed. You know, you just have to keep moving with it.
Well, I think the fact that you're in touch with your fans is a very helpful thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing. I wouldn't want to do any of this without that. I feel like if I ever disappeared or cut that off or got tired of it.
And a lot of artists have done that, and that's actually, these days, has hurt their careers.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, you know, I didn't know what Eddie Vedder was doing when I was growing up, and maybe I would have loved to have known when he would tweet every 30 minutes, but, like, I feel like today, if you don't have an online presence, that you're pretty invisible. Right,
exactly. Can you imagine, though, with Eddie Vedder, you know, it was doing like a YouTube video, like, I'm brushing my teeth or something, you know.
I would have loved it in the 90s.
Eating my sandwich, you know.
Oh my
but
God.
that could have been funny.
That would have been awesome.
Maybe it sold some more. The one thing actually,
you can do it now.
It's true. The one thing they did that was actually kind of interesting, speaking of Eddie Vedder, is that one thing they did that I always thought was amazing is there was a point where they decided to take over radio stations all across. I don't know if it was like Clear Channel or whatever it was, but they decided to take over radio stations for one day, for hours.
No way.
And they set up microphones in their studio, and they transmitted. All their friends came over, like Chris Cornell was there, and they just did cover songs and random songs playing live.
Because they can.
And they just talked about life on the road, and you know, and then occasionally there'd be commercials, but it was just straight up for hours and hours, just them doing their thing.
See, that's very cool.
And that was amazing.
So that's them, you know, using like
the technology at the time.
Yeah.
And they were also one of the first bands to really, you know, try and go against Ticketmaster.
Right.
Which is sadly what did hurt their career in the long run.
Well.
But they did make a good. You know, they could make a good mark.
Well, they definitely, I think that's the key. You just have to keep moving with the stuff and do whatever you can, and whether it's, you know, little videos and Twitter, like, it's amazing. You know what I mean? I'm always tweeting. It's really me. It's really me on Facebook. Yeah. Like, I just love that stuff. I'm such a dork. Maybe I'm just perfect for it, but I couldn't imagine doing any of this without them. That's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And now, what about, you know, I saw that there was one fan that this 11-year-old girl did a cover of.
I just saw a 3-year-old the other day.
A 3-year-old?
I get videos constantly. It's this little 3-year-old who's like playing on the piano, like singing the whole chorus. Not playing it, but just like kind of hitting the piano.
That's great.
It's crazy. I mean, the YouTube videos for Jar of Hearts is just blows my mind. They're just every like 10 minutes someone uploads a new one. Like it's a crazy.
And I've seen the other lyric videos too, which are fantastic.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm really so excited about them. Apparently I must have been living under a rock, but I didn't really notice that people made lyric videos no matter what for the songs that come out, and they're kind of awful looking, you know, with the whole iMovie sparkly words and stuff.
They didn't flash in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I didn't realize. So my manager had the brilliant idea of just like, hey, let's beat them to it and let's do something really creative and rad. And we found this guy named Elliot Sellers who works with Sigur Rós, and like, I mean, just a genius.
Yeah, it's really well done.
And he's just amazing. And
typewriter in the beginning. It's just fantastic.
And he films them all. And I mean, it's just like, it's a cool collaboration of art, and so I'm really excited. I think that's the thing that worked with Jar of Hearts. There was a visual with the dancing and the TV and the song and the boom, and so I think there's just something so important about putting a song, like a visual thing, right away. Like my little singles I'm releasing up into the album, it's like I'm just putting them out there because I can't wait, really, is all. But you know, to have a lyric video with The Lonely and with Penguin, people are just already, the outreach is way more than you could imagine.
And what about people? Have you heard remixes that people have done, like weird bootleg mixes?
Yeah. Hey, man, that's rad. I'm stoked. I'm honored when anyone sings it, plays it. I mean, some people are way better than me. I'm like, damn.
How about anyone that's done a cover of your song in a very bizarre style, like maybe like a death metal song?
Yes, there are metal versions.
Or,
I love the metal versions.
Yeah.
Like literally like screaming guitars. And there's this cover right now on YouTube of my song called The Lonely, done by one man, and he videotaped himself like in like 7 of himself, and he's like a 7-part choir. It's really
yeah, I've seen
creepy.
people do that. It's fantastic when they do that.
Yeah, it's really cool and creepy, but cool.
That's great. Yeah, I've done a lot of remixes for people. I got hired to do remixes. So I've done everything from like Fisher Spooner to one was actually a weird situation. Before Lady Gaga got really big, I did music for one of her early live tours.
Oh, cool.
So and they wanted what the original call was Madonna meets Marilyn Manson. So they sent over the tracks from her album, and I had to go back and I played guitar on it, made it very dark and heavy.
Oh, rad. That's cool.
Who knows how many shows it lasted, but you know, but it's one of those things. It's interesting how a different twist on a song can make it completely.
Oh, totally.
Who are some of the people that influence you right now that you're hearing?
Wow, I have the craziest group of music that I listen to. I grew up listening to Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. My dad's from Italy. My mom's a kind of hippie and listened to James Taylor and Elton John. So I had this like foundation of like singer-songwriters my whole life. Then I got really into Guns N' Roses. Then I got really into the Beatles. I went from like rock chick to total hippie, back to rock chick. And then all mushed together kind of equal me and my music. Right now I'm really stoked on all the chicks that are coming out, like Florence and the Machine, Adele, Lissy. Like there's this, all of a sudden, all these like female singer-songwriters who write their own music, sing their asses off and play instruments. And like I'm just so stoked like on all of them, really. I'm like, I feel kind of proud to be a woman right now and in the business.
People coming out.
Yeah, and so honestly, all that, a lot of the Brits are inspiring me too. I mean, Coldplay, and it's funny, I just pulled out my Counting Crows CD the other day, and I'm still inspired by that. I've been like, his lyrics just blow my mind. So yeah, I'm just random. I'm totally random.
How about some of the girls that are doing experimental stuff like there's Oland or Coco Rosie?
Dude, I love Oland. I just met them and introduced them at the Logo Awards.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was very cool. That stuff is rad. She's rad. She's like a supermodel. But I can't do that stuff, so I always appreciate every kind of music. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a huge fan of all this stuff. I'm even a huge fan of Lady Gaga and Britney Spears. Like, I'm born in '86. Like, I love that stuff.
So what is next for you? Where are you after the tours? Where do you want to go?
Well, I don't know. I can't see that far ahead. I don't even know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I never want my schedule in advance because it always freaks me out. So I just want to keep touring. I want to keep meeting every human being.
And so before we go, what's some advice you have for people that want to get into doing what you're doing? People who are looking up to you.
My biggest advice to every human being possible is to not give up, because I wanted to give up 17 times, specifically like right around the time everything was happening. I would cry. I was so scared. I was such a little human, like just afraid of everything. And until I did the thing I was most afraid of, none of my dreams came true. And then the second that I pushed through it and just got courageous, like everything happened. So as like simple as it is, like just not giving up and pushing through the really hard stuff is always my advice to everyone.
That's really good. So May 10th, right?
Check it out. Yeah.
Love Strong, May 10th. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we hope to get some good questions, and we'll forward those to your Twitter account, and we'll go from there. And it's awesome.
Brad.
All right.
Thanks, man.
See you later.